How's it going today, guys? This is TP3 coming in for episode 7 of Hot Takes with TP3 today. Had to bring back the Eagles fan once again. My boy Justin coming off the big win. Congrats to you, Justin. Say what's up to the people.
Finally we get a ring.
I'm so jealous of y'all, man. I mean, it helped me sleep a lot better, though, after the game was over, knowing the Falcons were 2 yards away from potentially knocking y'all out. But, I mean, hats off to y'all. Y'all dialed up the formula to beat the Patriots and got it done.
Yeah, Falcons need to take some notes.
For real. You know, we'll get into it right here with this right off the jump. I got to say, Doug Peterson, great coach. Honestly, I think he has himself a dynasty right here he can run the NFL with. I mean, he called an amazing game. He took it right to him. He went foot on the gas the whole game and just put it down their throats. He was running the ball, throwing the ball with Nick. I mean, the trick play on 4th down for the touchdown, great play call. I mean, he really trusted Nick Foles and found the plays for him that would work.
Yeah, I mean, I first of all, I'd like to say that Peterson got robbed as far as not being coach of the year.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And I think it all works out because he'd much rather get the ring than get that award for sure. But, how is he not the coach of the year? I mean, look at what he's done. I mean, he totally opened up the playbook one for Foles. Foles, I mean, I think the system in Philly is a perfect system for Foles.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of hate to see him leave. I know he is. Go get your money. You know.
For sure.
He did what he's got to do. But yeah, Peterson is, you know what, I love watching him coach because you're watching a player coach the game and he's coming to you at like a player's perspective. And I love that his players respond. I just think he's got everyone bought in, and what a solid locker room those guys have.
Oh, yeah. He just looks so confident out there as a coach, and I just loved, like, the set of balls on him the whole game. He looked for the plays, and he took advantage of it. I've never seen anybody just take it to the Patriots like that. Everybody plays so timid, and, like, Atlanta, we play too conservative. Jacksonville played too conservative, and that's really what comes back to bite you.
And to an extent, I mean, you could sit there and say that the Eagles played conservative. I mean, they didn't start dialing up the blitz and successfully getting pressure till kind of late. I mean, they completed a lot of stuff. I mean, Tom Brady, you see his numbers. I mean, 500 yards. I mean, what other NFL team could withstand the game they put up on offense and still win? I mean, that's what's crazy.
Yeah, if you told me going in the game Brady was going to throw for 500 yards, I would have said it's done. Right. Patriots run away with the game. And looking at it from Patriots perspective, I mean, you really played. You had Brady throw for 500 yards. Yeah, you had injuries, but according to the Patriots, it doesn't matter who gets hurt. It's always next man up, so you can't even use these injuries. Now, the dumbest thing that happened to me was I feel like Belichick outcoached himself with some of these calls. Like, I think he should have gone for it when they tried that field goal when they had the bad snap. I definitely felt like they should have gone for that. I felt like the end around play call to Cooks where he got slammed when he tried to jump was a terrible play call, and just the overall decision to sit Malcolm Butler. Now, I've seen a lot of speculation about that Butler was smoking weed with his boys, or he brought a girl back to the room, or he got into it with the coaching staff and all that. But Butler released a statement saying all of it was false today and that he was really upset they said it. So I don't really know what was going on there. But overall, it was just a dumb decision by Belichick. They really missed not having him out there on the field.
Well, I mean, for a guy that's literally single-handedly won them a Super Bowl with one play, you know, that pick against, Russell Wilson when they didn't give the ball to Marshawn Lynch. How many years ago was that? 3 years?
It was 2 or 3, yeah.
2 or 3? I mean, he played 97% of their defensive snaps. Hey, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I've heard Belichick will cut guys the night before the Super Bowl. He doesn't care. So whatever Cooks did, there's a serious lack of communication on either part. Something definitely happened. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me, though. Why would you punish a guy the night before the Super Bowl? Like, it's your biggest game. It's dumb, but
hey, it's their 8th, so it's just another go around with
for real.
So
But, I mean, I still think Belichick is the best coach to coach football. But, I mean, Doug Peterson's coming, and I'm really scared for the NFC that the Eagles are going to keep running this franchise style like the Patriots did. I mean, they got a great coach there. They pretty much got all their main players in for 4 years, and it's going to be I'm just excited to watch what they can do. But going back to the game, I know a lot of two plays that had a lot of controversy were the Ertz and Clement catches, and looking back at both of them, I think they got it right personally on the Ertz catch. I mean, I don't see how that's not a touchdown, and if I'm a Steelers fan, I'm be upset because I don't see how Jesse James still didn't get a touchdown on that play, but that didn't really change much for Pittsburgh's season. But the Clement one, I don't know. It looks like he was still bobbling it. It was very iffy.
I think that call stands if it's called either way. So if they call it a no catch, I think it stays a no catch. Mm-hmm. And I think if it's a catch, it stays a catch just because it's so hard to overturn.
Yeah, it was definitely.
I mean, the referees were right on it. I mean, that back judge had his hands up before the side judge got in. And, like I said, I'm going to take it. But, at the same time, Tom Brady's like, he didn't throw a couple picks. He had a couple crazy, kind of out of character throws.
I love seeing y'all's defense, though, step up at the end of the game when y'all needed them most. The big time strip sack.
I was waiting for it the whole time, and I was worried because I was calling. I was like, man, we need a pick. Man, we need a pick, just because I knew that the Patriots are 60-0 when they win the turnover margin in their playoff games. So they got that one lucky fluke, pick where Alshon, bobbled it.
Yeah, that was not Foles. That was all
that wasn't
Jeffrey,
Foles, right? Yeah. But at the same time, that's still a change of possession. So I mean, that's a huge deal.
Yeah, didn't they score off that turnover too? I'm pretty sure they either marched down and scored on that. I'm pretty sure they marched down and scored on that drive. It was with 5 minutes to go in the half, and then they scored. But I mean, I was just so impressed with the fact the Eagles were able to weather the storm when the Patriots took the lead, because I was sitting there from a perspective of a fan who's watched the Patriots come back and win so many times, and I was just waiting on it. I figured Philly would go up big, because Patriots have never led in the first quarter of a Super Bowl. I figured Philly would go up at halftime and be up by set anywhere from 3 to 10 points, somewhere in there, and then the Patriots would come out there and take the lead. But when the Patriots did, there was resilience in the Eagles, and they didn't phase them one bit, and they marched right down the field and took back the lead. But at what point in the game did you feel like y'all had won the game?
I think on that last drive, when I saw, how, they had no timeouts, there's under a minute to go, I was like, there's no way something crazy is going to happen right now. It's happened too much. And thank God it didn't. Dude, they had a chance on that Hail Mary. If Gronk gets up there and bats it back to, Amendola or somebody down there, they had guys down there.
Yeah, he put it right on the money.
It was sketchy. But, I knew we had him in the bag. I was just so happy that the strip sack was huge. Man, that was so big.
Oh, yeah. No, I thought Peterson called a great string of plays, too, after the strip sack when he ran it and ran all their timeouts up. Imagine if they had one more timeout. They could have tried a little pass in the middle of the field and got to the 40 or 30 and then try to bomb.
At the same time, though, look at what the Jaguars did, when they tried to run the ball and they got stuffed and then they didn't eat enough time, and then everyone was like, well, why are they not running, but why'd they throw it? And they never ended up completing it and turned the ball back over. It was on that first down run where Fournette gets stuffed. So I think we got lucky that we ran off enough clock, but we really should have gotten a first down.
I think it was the right decision to take 40 seconds off rather than go for 5 yards. I feel like the 3 points make it an 8-point game, so for a fact you're going to OT, worst case scenario. Right. I just feel like you just set yourself up better there.
Definitely having a much better feeling. How about those balls that Peterson has on that fourth down, throw a little pitch to Foles?
Yeah, I saw a video today him and Foles conversing about it, and Foles was the one who told him, let's run this play, and he was like, go do your thing, Nick, and they went out there and did it. That was crazy that we saw. It was kind of funny seeing Brady drop his pass and then watching Nick Foles catch his. Nick Foles, I got to give you all the props, man. You came out there with house money and just ran it the right way, man. He went out there, he was basically like, I'm playing with the house this whole playoffs, and he could have been down about not playing well against the Raiders and not playing well against the Falcons. Instead, he came out there and threw the ball all over these defenses.
It's a perfect case scenario for Foles. He was chilling for 15 weeks. gets thrown in there, goes and wins him a ring, and now he's waiting to be, $100 million man.
Oh, I think. No, he's definitely – I think the Eagles need to
Where do you see him go?
That's
and what
tough.
do you think he's worth?
I think he's going to get around 12 in the 12 to $18 million range, somewhere in there. And I think a team like Arizona or Cleveland or somebody like that's going to go after him. But at the same time, if you're Philly, you definitely need to trade him because they lost those 2 draft picks in trades earlier in the season, get back that second and third. But you also got to keep him around for a little while just to make sure Carson Wentz is back in the swing of things and everything's working out there, because you don't want to get rid of him and then have Carson Wentz not recover well or rush Carson Wentz back on the field.
Andrew Luck type situation, that would not be cool. I agree with you there, especially too after winning the Super Bowl. Go get you a first round draft pick if they can.
Yeah.
I mean, what's Jimmy G's contract? Because I think Foles is by far the best available quarterback out of everybody. Kirk Cousins, you know what I mean? I think he's the number one guy. For as much hype as Garoppolo got, I think Foles is a way more accomplished and has way more film to show.
Yeah, I think Foles in the right system can be good. And I think compared to I think Garoppolo's great, and I think the 49ers will re-sign him, but I personally agree with you over Kirk Cousins and the rest of the free agent market quarterbacks, because I feel like Foles is so much more worth the money you're going to pay him than Kirk Cousins.
He's a Super Bowl MVP now, dude.
And Kirk Cousins is going to demand $20 million or more, and I just don't think he's definitely not worth that. But I mean, a guy like Foles who's at least proven that he can win playoff games, that he can get to the playoffs is different. I mean, Cousins did make it to the playoffs, but like he hasn't won a playoff game like Nick Foles has.
Foles definitely should be yelling, "Do you like that? Do you like that?"
Yeah, he needs to yell at him when he gets the money over him.
Yeah.
But it's definitely interesting, though, the fact that we got this nice quarterback free agent market, because, I mean, Garoppolo still hadn't inked his deal. Now, I've seen that he's close to getting signed to a huge deal, but it's not inked yet. So, I mean, we could have 3 big-time free agent quarterbacks out here. And if I'm these teams going to the draft, I would rather pay one of these guys than get a question mark in at quarterback. And especially when you bring a kid in with a first-round pick, why not just draft one of these guys, then go after a Mason Rudolph or Lamar Jackson or someone like that in the second round and let him sit behind this guy for 2 or 3 years and then try to play him. I just think it's a better move.
You think Mahomes is ready in Kansas City?
I think Mahomes is ready. I said on episode 2 that I thought they should trade, that they should go ahead and trade Smith and start Mahomes, and I think that was the right move by Kansas City. But let's talk post-game, like drip down from this game. What do you think's going on in New England? You think it's the end of the dynasty?
Well, after the news today with McDaniel staying, not going to the Colts.
Yeah, that was huge.
I think that's huge for their offense. I think defensively, Belichick will have that, under control. To be honest, no. I think if you asked me this question 48 hours ago, I would have a different answer, thinking that, with Patricia and McDaniels leaving, but with them retaining him, I think Belichick and Brady can really do anything. I respect them just for their pure accomplishments. It's very, it's very, very, very hard to make it to the Super Bowl, let alone 3 years in a row. I don't see them making it back to the Super Bowl this coming up year, but I don't think we could count them out by any means. I think the Eagles definitely have a better chance of coming back if they can stay healthy. I mean, we had so many guys out. Peters out. We had Wentz out. We had, Well,
like you told me, football's won in the trenches, and the Eagles built their team to win in the trenches, and that's why they're so good. But I agree with you with McDaniels coming back. That is huge. That was big news today. I personally think this McDaniels coming back tells me 2 things. I think AFC is still very weak. I still think the Patriots I think the door is closing, but I think the Patriots still have 1 or 2 more years left where they can run the AFC and get back to Super Bowls or get to the AFC Championship game every time. But I also think it tells me another thing, that Belichick is pretty close to moving on and McDaniels is staying because he wants to be the successor, and he wants the keys handed over to him to be the next head coach in New England.
I can't blame him. I mean, you go to Indianapolis and you have a question mark with Luck. Yeah. You're in a division with the Texans defense. You're in the division with
Titans, who are young.
Pretty young, decent defense. Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I mean, the AFC, they're not they're definitely on the come up, I think, as far as these squads that are usually kind of duds turning into legit programs. I think the road for the Patriots is starting to get bumpy for them as far as the toughness.
It'll be big if Deshaun Watson comes back, and then then the Titans just are getting a new coach since they fired Malarkey. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they change things up, because I think they'll definitely do better. But like you said, we got Jacksonville, we still got Pittsburgh to worry about. Right. It'll definitely be a tough division.
Ravens.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. It'll be the Chargers. I mean, who knows who the Broncos are going to get? Maybe Kirk Cousins. Maybe get Baker Mayfield.
Maybe get Foles.
Beast. Yeah, get Foles. Yeah. Ooh, that'd be a good fit right there.
I think Foles might go to Arizona, but that kind of stinks for him because, AB's gone and he's such a quarterback guru. I think that might have been a good fit. But,
the other thing, too, though, that you touched on that I agree with is going to the Colts was a bad move, because you know how old that roster was and how terrible of a job they did make. They tried to make a win-now team, and then luck got hurt, and then it just plummeted. So I think there's a huge rebuilding that's going to have to go on Indianapolis. And, I mean, they've got Luck locked in, so by the time they're good again, Luck will be there. But they got to keep him healthy and protect him for now.
Right.
And I don't know. It'll definitely be interesting, but I think, like you said earlier, the Eagles are the new dynasty. They're definitely going to have a tough road to return in the NFC, but
I don't want to say dynasty. I want to say the team that's best built to win. You know what I mean? I think they have everything in the right position. I don't want to sit here and call it a dynasty because they won one ring. You know what I mean? The Patriots are the dynasty. They set the standard. So until the Eagles can repeat, I think talk is cheap. But at the same time, I think the Eagles, go back to September and August and listen to all the hype about the Dallas Cowboys offensive line and everybody's offense, and nothing was about the Eagles. They were a low-key team. I think that's the way they like it. They like being scrappy. They like being the world's against us.
The dogs, baby.
Yeah, and I love that for them, because I think that's the fun way to play the game. You can tell those guys are having a friggin' blast. So go out there. You got nothing to lose. Let your hair fly and go crack some people, and they sure did, dude.
Yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed watching the Eagles play this season. I watched them play a lot, and I just love, like you said, the way they played. They were all about showing them what they can do on the field, not about the talk like a lot of other teams are. And they did do it all as the dog this season. We heard it's kind of like the Falcons last season. You heard nothing about them before the season, but they just go out there and perform every week and force you to pay attention to them and force you to make them the talk of the league. And they do it the right way in between the trenches, and they get
they just got to finish the drill now.
Yeah, oh yeah. And I really like how they have all their important players under contract. So I mean, it's gonna be fun to watch, and it'll probably be some good games against the Falcons and the Eagles coming up here in the next couple seasons. So I'm not looking forward to facing y'all moving forward.
I think with all the negativity surrounding the NFL with this year and the protests and stuff, I think the talent in the NFL is what's going to save it. And I think ending the year on a great game like this really helps the game. Mm-hmm. And I think the talent with all the other up-and-coming teams and really allowing it to be any one of, or every two of the 32 teams to show up, I think really captivates everybody's attention. I think Super Bowl Sunday is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And especially when your teams are in it. What's better than that?
Nothing better than Super Bowl Sunday where teams in it. I got to experience it last year, and I mean, it was a great time. But
now Falcons get to, hey, your big goal is to have a Super Bowl as a home team. How crazy would that be?
Yeah.
The city would be wild.
Oh, it'd be so wild. I mean, shoot, I hope we can get it. It'd be sick if we could get the number one overall seed in the NFC and have that home field all throughout the playoffs and never have to play a road game. It'd be crazy to see, but hey, we're looking forward to next season and moving on to next season. We'll have a lot more future NFL talk coming up for y'all. Justin, I appreciate having you on the show.
Go Birds.
Hey, go Birds, baby. Once again, thanks to Justin for coming on the podcast. Got to give the Eagles some love, especially after winning the Super Bowl. I'm happy for them. I wish me as a Falcons fan got to experience that, but I don't, and that's just a way of life. But we'll look on to next season. But looking on to next season, we had a big trade happen this last week with Alex Smith getting shipped out of Washington, and I think it was a pretty good trade for both teams. I'm excited to see, as I predicted, the Pat Mahomes era start this upcoming season. Predicted it back on episode 2 with Yardage Locks. Shout out to Yardage Locks. But predicted he was out of Kansas City, which he was. It's time for Mahomes to take over. I'm real excited to see what the kid can do. He's got a cannon, so we'll see if he can sling it around. But great trade, too, by the Redskins. I mean, Kirk Cousins was good there, but we really saw the play of Kirk Cousins drop off a lot when Chris Thompson and Jordan Reed went down and not having Deshaun Jackson this season. So Kirk Cousins looked like he was that 5,000-yard passing season quarterback that he was at the beginning of the season, but his play just really fell off, and I think that Alex Smith's a much better option than Kirk Cousins, and not only do I think he's a better option, but a lot of the buzz I've heard around the league is that he's much higher regarded in football circles, and that a lot of the teams just have more higher regard for Alex Smith as a quarterback and as a player, which I can't blame them. I mean, Alex Smith's a playmaker. Yeah, he probably will never win you a Super Bowl, but in my opinion, he's been a top 10 quarterback in the NFL a lot of times, and I think he'll keep giving you that consistent play, and he'll keep making plays with his legs and open the game up for you. And I think he'll be a great addition to this Redskins team. Now, the other thing you got to look at is the future of Kirk Cousins. And for Kirk Cousins, I think his stock is hurt a little bit by the Redskins doing this, because it shows that the Redskins think they can do it without him. But at the same time, I think he will get his money somewhere. There's too many teams out here that need quarterbacks and that don't want to invest the time in bringing up a young quarterback. And I really think the team that needs to go out there and pay Kirk Cousins the money is the Cleveland Browns. And I know a lot of people like the Cardinals or the Jets maybe, or the Dolphins or a team like that, or maybe even the Broncos to go out there and pay him. I mean, I thought Jacksonville was the best landing spot for him, but they want to stick with Bortles, which I can't blame him. I mean, Bortles showed a lot of signs of being a good player, especially in those last two playoff games. He was slinging the rock around, but I just really think the Browns need to go put the money on Kirk Cousins, because if you think about it, Kirk Cousins played on a team that had a lot of injuries, so it is tough to get it done when you have so much uncertainty in your backfield. I mean, Trent Williams, one of the best offensive tackles in the league, was down. He had a couple other injuries throughout the offensive line, but it was a real falling apart team, and I know a lot of people don't believe Kirk Cousins can do it, especially since he had the drop-off once, losing a lot of his main offensive weapons. But there's only about 3 quarterbacks in the NFL that can do it with so many of their offensive weapons hurt, and that's Brady, Rodgers, and Big Ben, who I think are the only 3 quarterbacks that can really do that. And also got to give shout out to Russell Wilson, who I personally think is the best quarterback in the NFL at this point. He can also do it. I mean, he's got nobody around him. But if you look at it, I think the Cleveland has to pay Kirk Cousins, and they need to bring him in. You got these high up draft picks. You think about it. You sign Kirk Cousins to the huge deal. You trade that draft pick and trade back a little bit, which acquires more picks in the future. So then next year you're going to have 2 first-round picks again to go along with this year, and you can go out and get him another solid wide receiver if you want to, or another solid offensive lineman, because you already have Benito and you have Joe Thomas, who probably the best left tackle in the league. So you can stack up your offensive line for him, and you can bring in a guy with Saquon Barkley with that 4th pick, who's arguably, in my opinion, the most talented player in this draft, and just load up your offense for him, and you can get a stacked up offense. And then quickly the Browns have all these draft picks stockpiled, and they got a team out there. And I think it's a way better move for the Browns, because then you can keep Deshaun Kaiser and keep developing him, and you don't have to invest in another Buns rookie quarterback and have to see what happens there, because we've seen it hasn't worked for them the last couple of years. So why would they keep trying it with all these rookie quarterbacks in this draft? And I just think it's the best possible move for them. That way they don't have to add any more names to that shirt. And I really do hope for y'all, Cleveland, that y'all can find yourselves that franchise quarterback in this draft, because y'all desperately need one. And I just feel so bad having to watch y'all lose all the time. So it's going to be interesting to see where Cousins goes. But another thing that has me very intrigued too is this upcoming NBA trade deadline. So these are moves that I think will probably happen here at NBA trade deadline. It's a very interesting time, very hard to predict. I'm not necessarily going to give y'all predictions, but I'm going to give y'all most likely storylines that I think will happen. So there's a lot of teams that need trades. I think the Cavs need a big-time trade, and I just don't think that they have the assets to acquire DeAndre Jordan. I mean, who knows? I saw they offered the Brooklyn pick, J.R. Smith, and Tristan Thompson, so I don't really think that they're interested in that at all. down in it, or from what I've heard, at least the Clippers aren't, but who knows what could happen if Cleveland could acquire and maybe get a third team. But I think the most realistic trade for the Cavs is something that helps them acquire George Hill and possibly Derek Favors. I think those would be two great pieces for Cleveland to acquire. They need something. I think those are big pieces they could acquire. I think the Magic are going to blow this team up that they have. Not necessarily that they have a special team, but they're going to blow them up. And I think Aaron Gordon he's coming up on a new contract. I think they're really going to look to move him because they think they can get some pieces for him. And Aaron Gordon's shown a lot of signs of being able to take his game to a next level and being able to adapt his game. So there's definitely a team willing to take a chance on him, and the Magic will be willing to get whatever they can back for him. Another team, too, that's intrigues me coming in here to the trade deadline is OKC. What are they going to do? Could they possibly send Paul George out to LA? I've heard some circles that think they're going to send him out to LA and try to get like Julius Randle and Clarkson and maybe one or two other players back in a trade. Also, I think that they could go after Avery Bradley, which would be a great addition for them. He doesn't have a big contract, so they could throw him out there. Imagine your starting five. You got Westbrook, George, Melo, Steven Adams, and Avery Bradley. That's a team to reckon with right there, and especially with the defense Avery Bradley plays. Him and Westbrook would be and Paul George. I mean, those are three solid defensive players. That'd probably be the best defensive team in the league, and that would really shake up the West. But we'll see what happens there. There's also the Knicks, who are going to be looking to make a lot of trades. But if you ask me, the Knicks really have no tradable assets that anybody's going to want. They're not going to want to trade Frank. They're not going to want to get rid of Kristaps Porzingis. They're not really going to want to get rid of and his Cantor. They really want to get rid of Joakim Noah, but that's one of the worst contracts I've ever seen. I would never in a million years trade for Joakim Noah on that contract. There's no trade you could possibly make to make me want to do that. And another team looking to make a lot of moves is the Hawks. The Hawks have already said they've made every player on the roster available except for John Collins, which I love. I mean, I'm a huge Hawks fan, but I don't really think that anybody outside of Collins, and honestly, I would keep around Prince too. I think those two players have very high upsides and futures. I mean, Dwayne Dedmon is a great young player, but I just feel like that he's not going to fit in necessarily with this rebuild mode that we're in, and I don't think that it's the move we need to make. So I'll go ahead, get everyone out. I mean, Dedmon and Schroeder are definitely the two highest profiled ones. Marco Bellinelli and Ersan Ilyasova with their scoring or players a lot of teams are going to want. Bellinelli would be a great fit on the Thunder, I think, or the Spurs. And then speaking of the Spurs are going to be looking, I think, to be buyers also at the trade deadline. They're going to be looking for some sort of scorer to help them out since losing Kawhi or something else. And the last team I expect to be big time buyers at the trade deadline is the Blazers. The Blazers are in need of a third star. I think that third star they need is DeAndre Jordan. I think he would be a great fit for them. I don't know if they have the assets to get him, if they want to give up that first round pick and a guy they just took in the first round last year in Zach Collins. It'd probably have to be something like that. They'll want some young assets back, so we'll see what happens there. But the other thing I'm looking into is the players most likely to be traded, and I think George Hill's going to be on the move. I think Zach Randolph will be on the move. I just think the Kings are looking to keep that roster young and keep developing De'Aaron Fox, and I think they're going to look to get rid of those guys. They're making a decent amount of money. I'm still confused why the Kings paid them all that money. They didn't need either of them because the Kings don't have a roster that looks to be anything like a playoff team. It's just a waste of money in my opinion. But those two guys would be out of there. I think if you're the Clippers, got to sell on DeAndre and Lou Will. Lou Will's stock is at the highest, and I mean, everybody wants DeAndre. He's a rim defender. If you're the Cavs, you need DeAndre Jordan. You need that rim defender. Also, Dwayne Dedmon be a great fit in Cleveland, so we'll see what happens there. And then Tyreek Evans, he's a guy who's already being held out by the Memphis and until he gets traded. So Memphis is looking to get rid of him and send him on the move now. The other guy I think could get moved potentially is Marc Gasol. I mean, I've heard Memphis say they don't want to trade him, but if you're the Grizzlies right now, what else do you have going for you? You got to go ahead and get some value for him. So it'll be interesting, but I will be going live or make a podcast and put it out that night. But I'm going to give you all my thoughts on every single move that happens at the NBA trade deadline on Thursday night, early Friday morning. I'll have something for y'all there. Be my NBA trade deadline special. So get ready for that. Once again, guys, shout out to my boy Justin for hopping on the podcast, and shout out to everyone for tuning in and listening to another episode of Hot Takes with TP3. Look out for my Atlanta special coming out this week, where I'm just going to rant on everything I hate about Atlanta sports and how that we need a championship desperately and more star power. And also be on the lookout for, like I said a minute ago, for that NBA free agency special. It's going to be coming in hot for y'all. So I got lots of stuff coming for y'all and big things in the makings in these upcoming weeks. So just keep tuning in, keep supporting. I appreciate y'all. Until then, I'll see y'all.
You know I ain't scared to lose you. They don't like it when you're telling the truth. I'd rather be realer than you. I had to make me a crack, now I called a contractor to make me a spot. I sold the dope out your house, now you come to my house.